What up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm J, and we are locked in. Now, we have a new show, Jupiter's Legacy. It just came out May 7th on Netflix. I got to give a shout out to my boy Dougie over in Japan. He said, Mo, check it out. It is off the chain. Also, shout out to my boy Trill in Korea. He said, Mo, it's worth watching. So before we get into that, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel, you want to be a part of this, hit the subscribe button, turn your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Now, Jupiter's Legacy is about a group of superheroes that are put on Earth to serve and protect and save all of us. Now, they're trying to raise their kids to be the next superheroes. But these kids got to learn their powers and how they use it. I know you don't want to hear any more from me, so we're going to jump into it. This is Jupiter's Legacy, episode 1. To start this whole season off, we have 3 kids running around, 2 boys and a girl. Now, they're playing superheroes. They're running around chasing each other. You got all the little laughter in the background. Tag, you're it. And they're just chasing each other, doing what kids do, having fun. Just when you think things are good, oh, look at the kids out there playing. Things start to turn. Now, one of the little boys tells the girl, you didn't get me. You missed me with your laser eyes. She's like, no, I hit you. And they get into a little confrontation. They go back and forth at each other. Now, this little girl, she's starting to get angry. And what does she do? She starts screaming and a sound wave comes and knocks both of the boys down on the ground. I'm like, man, what kind of superpower does this little girl have? Now the little boys are looking at her like, man, what in the world? And you can see her eyes are lighting up. That shows you that she has some kind of power. She's a regular child. Now, we don't know too much about this kid, but we know she ain't regular, and we do know she has a power. And out of nowhere, we have a superhero, which is our main character, Sheldon. Now, Sheldon is the father of these 2 kids. And what he's telling the kids is, what are you guys doing? And they're, well, we were playing, and she kind of got mad. And the dad's trying to tell them, listen, we have these powers, but these powers are only to be used for good. You can't be using it against friends and stuff while you're playing around. You need to be able to reserve that power, harness it for good. This is what we live by. We're superheroes. I'm a utopian. Now, utopians are what they are. They're superheroes. They got to harness their power. They got to learn how to use their powers. And the dad's just letting them know, hey, we have these powers to protect the world. Don't use it for anything but that. Oh, yeah. And who wants some ice cream? And the kids are like, oh, I do. These 2 kids, on the left is Chloe, the girl. On the right is the brother Brandon. Now, this is when they're younger. Let's see what they look like a little bit older. We get to see Brandon all grown up. Now, he's at a diner. And on the news, you can hear pretty much what's been going on in 2020. In 2021, they're talking about protesters getting killed up in Portland. They're talking about the debate over stimulus checks. The market is in red since Black Monday in 1929. Keep that in mind. And then also there's a guy on there named Black Star, and he's about to get released. Now, Black Star is a villain, but we don't know much about him yet. Now, Brandon's sitting here, and all of a sudden he hears something, and he takes off. We get to see what Brandon's powers are now. He heard something, he ran outside, he gets in the alley, he starts sprinting. He takes off his clothes, and up under it, he has his uniform on. Now, me personally, as soon as I hit the corner, I just would have flew and took my clothes off in the air. But Brandon can fly. What did Brandon hear? There's a robbery going on, and these dudes got gorilla masks on. I'm talking about they got guns, and they lighting the city up. These cops, they don't stand a chance. They showing up with little pistols. Pink, pink. This gorilla is on top of the truck, just letting loose. Brandon got to come and stop this right now. Out of nowhere, some random woman shows up, and the guys are like, hey, Blondie, get out of here. And then out of nowhere, it just looks like Iron Man. I'm talking about the mask comes over, the arms come on, and she's tearing them up. Choo, choo, poo, poo, knocking things down. So these gorillas, they ain't stand no chance with these regular weapons. You know what I'm saying? It turns out she's actually here to steal what's in this truck also. The gorillas did all the work, and now she's doing the cleanup work. Okay, I'm just going to take y'all out after y'all get it, and I'm going to get on out of here. Brandon shows up, and she starts clowning him. Hey, kid, you might want to get out of here, because you're going to be on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You're going to be trending on social media messing with me, because I'm going to whoop on you. And plus, what would your dad think? So everybody knows he's Sheldon's son. So it's in the city, it's like, okay, this is kind of a celebrity, but he can't really fight. He ain't his dad. We don't believe you. Just like we thought. He can't fight. I'm talking about she threw him through a building and through a marble wall. Security guard sitting there like, man, what the? How you gonna explain that to your boss? Hey, man, somebody just got thrown through the window, sir, and it just tore the wall. Or what? You security, figure that out. Right on schedule. Sheldon shows up. I'm talking about she's about to finish Brandon. He's already on the floor like, oh man, he done got thrown into that wall. She charging that right up. She about to let loose. Sheldon stops that right there. Now, we know Sheldon is the top dog when it comes to the Utopians right now. His son, you gonna have to figure it out because you ain't ready. You are not ready. We ain't even 10 minutes into the episode and you ain't ready. You need to just go back and do some training. Just like I was saying, Brandon, when you're in a situation like this, we all work together. You need to call for backup. Sheldon's trying to let his son know, look, we may be superheroes, we may have powers, but we need to be smart about everything that we do. And you call for backup because you were getting whooped in here. You lucky I came and saved you. After a hard day at work, we see Sheldon at the house taking a shower, cleaning off. And on the news, we hear about Black Star again. Now, Black Star, they got him locked up. They also say he's a doctor. And you see him on TV. Hey, Utopia, you're not going to be able to keep me locked down forever. So pretty much what he's saying is I'm going to get out because you locked me up on some BS. I shouldn't even be in here, Utopian. Now, they may be superheroes, but they live a normal life. They got a regular house. They got dishes just like we got dishes, and they're in there. Now, this is his wife, Grace. We don't know what powers Grace has, if she even has any powers yet, but this is his wife, and they just, normal life. Hey, what are you listening to? He's just listening to some old music. Like, yeah, man, this is good music here. You all remember in the opening scene, the little girl, Chloe. Now, we know that she has two superhero parents, but she's 20 years old and she's on drugs. How can you be on drugs and your parents are superheroes and you have powers? Sheldon is trying to talk to the mom and ask Grace, like, what can I do to sit her down? And Grace is like, look, she's not going to talk about that right now. But as a dad, he wants to know, how can I help my daughter get her off of drugs and back on the right path? Because we're living a good life. There's no reason to be on drugs. Now we get to talk about Brandon and his, his deficiencies at the moment. And Sheldon is trying to tell Gracie, listen, Sheldon, he went out there, he's using too much emotion. He needs to get focused and get prepared to take over once I'm gone, because we got to keep this legacy going on. What if he would have brought some of the other kids with superpowers out there and led them into something that they knew they couldn't win? He could have got them killed. And Gracie's like, well, he didn't. Well, he could have. And that's the way Brandon is moving. He's not thinking things through. And Sheldon wants him to understand, listen, you have to listen to what I'm telling you in order to go that next level. But Brandon, teenage kid, well, he might be in the 20s. His sister's 20. He might be like 21, 22. Brandon is going to be Brandon. We get introduced to Sheldon's brother, Walt. Now, Walt is the uncle of Brandon, and Brandon's outside and he's drinking. And he's looking at his nephew. He's taking it a little bit easier than what Sheldon is doing on him, just because he knows his dad is going to be extra hard on him to take him to that next level. We know Brandon can actually hear a lot of things. So he's saying, I heard about what happened. And Brandon's like, yeah, man, it's tough. But Walt is trying to just let him know and encourage him. You got to keep going. You just got to, kind of stay on the path with your dad saying. He's not trying to tell you the wrong things or scold you or anything. But this whole time, Brandon can hear, and he hears his dad saying, he's not ready. He's not ready for this. If you remember on the news, they said Black Monday of 1929. Well, they actually take us back to 1929, and we get to see Sheldon and Walt when they were growing up and what they were doing before they had powers. So everything's going to link together. Everything you see on the news or here, it all links into the storyline. Okay, we see young Sheldon. They actually own a steel company, him, his brother, and his father. And he's walking around talking to all the employees because that's what a good boss does. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Mr. Sheldon, you getting married, I heard. He's like, yeah, I'm finally getting tied down. They're like, hey, make sure that's the right one, sir. Because he's just making sure he interacts with all of the employees, to keep that spirit and that morale up. Family business. We all know how that goes. Everybody wants to do one thing. Now, Sheldon and his father, Mr. Sampson, they're on the same page. They're talking about the stock market is going up. It's been gaining 20% since 1922. Now, this is 1929, 7 years later. But Walt, he's the business mind guy. He's the finance guy. He's been watching the stock market. He's like, man, we should just hold off on expanding and let's just see what the market is going to do. Now, Mr. Sampson and Sheldon, you see Sheldon got his legs kicked up like, nah, let's just do it, man. The president, he said it's good to go. Let's make it happen. But Walt, he's like, man, look, trust me, guys. Let's just chill on this. Let's just chill. Let's not make any new business plans. Let's chill. Mr. Sampson's trying to convince Walt, look, Let's do this. It's not about the money. It's about the people and the family. Even Sheldon's like, yeah, we should do this because we know Sheldon, he interacts with all the workers. He's saying, man, we can provide more jobs for people. This is what we're going to do. We're going to help everyone's lives get better. But Walt's telling them, look, I have the numbers. Let's hold off a couple of months. But at the end of the day, Mr. Simpson's in charge of this, and whatever he wants, he's going to do. And of course, Sheldon is right there with him, and Sheldon is kind of a little bit above Walt also. Fast forward to present day, we have us a nice little dinner. We got Uncle Walt, we got Grace, we got Sheldon, and we got Brandon. Now, there's no daughter here, and Sheldon, he's sitting there like, look, Walt, before you eat or do any more of that drinking that you're doing, we do a little bit of prayers around here before we get started. Now, I told you they live in a regular lifestyle. Superheroes, but live a regular lifestyle. Guess who decides to show up in the middle of prayer? Miss Chloe. Now, Chloe has an agent because Chloe isn't a superhero. She's the superhero's daughter. And what she does, she models and stuff like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking good. Now she shows up, she look a little lit, but her and her Uncle Walt, they have a good connection. And you can already see Sheldon, he's a little distraught. Like, I don't really know about this, man. What's wrong with her? We know she's on drugs, but hey, Chloe, hold some hands. We about to get this prayer in. They start talking about her covers of all the magazines that she's been doing, and Walt's like, yeah, it's good. And then even the mom, Grace, is like, oh, was it for this magazine? Now, believe it or not, Sheldon knew exactly what magazine it was in, and she was like, oh, you seen it? Because she didn't expect her dad to still be paying attention to what she's got going on because, you know, she has a little drug problem. But a loving father is always going to make sure he's involved and knows what's going on. They may not have that close of a connection that he wants, but he still makes sure he knows what's going on in his daughter's life as much as he can. This family, like I said, they're a modern family, but everyone knows them. Everyone knows Sheldon is the utopian. They know Brandon has power. They know the whole family has powers. But Chloe, she's not using her powers to be a superhero. She's modeling and things. And Sheldon's trying to tell her, listen, our powers are for the less fortunate to help people out. Her being ungrateful. Oh, well, I don't want these powers. I'd still have attention and be a model and all this stuff. No, you wouldn't. You're doing this off the strength of your family and what they're about. So she gets upset with it and says, I didn't want to be your daughter. And she storms about the house and she takes the wine bottle. Come on, man. Of course, Brandon goes outside and chases after his sister. Chloe, listen. Somebody has to be the next utopian. And he's pretty much saying once dad's gone, we have these powers. We got to use these powers for good. So he's being hard on us, but he's trying to prepare us for the future. Now, Chloe's trying to say, that's not what I want. That's not the direction that I want to go in. You can do that, but that's not the life for me. And Brandon's trying to let her understand, hey, these gifts were given to us for a reason. We learned how to harness our powers for a reason. Trust me. But at this point in life, that's not what Chloe wants to do. She got the fame. She's on drugs. The superhero stuff just isn't for her at this moment. She takes off. When I tell you they're living a modern life, they got a superhero. They got Sheldon, the utopian of all utopians, in the kitchen washing dishes. Walt comes in like, hey, you know, they got a thing called dishwasher, but he's saying he's using this as training, keeping his hands steady and keeping his focus. You know what I'm saying? But Walt's trying to explain to him that your son, he's gifted. He idolizes you. He wants to be just like you. But for Sheldon, he can't see that. And most fathers don't see that in their kids until they get older than what they already are. But Sheldon, he wants the best for his son. He just wants him to be a little bit harder and more focused on it. Now, Walt tells Sheldon, hey, let's go take a ride because you don't have any beer. But really what that means is, let's take a ride. I need to talk to you about some other things. We get introduced to a new character. Brandon goes to the club and we meet Brian. Now, Brian, he has powers also, but he's in here. He's like, man, forget this partying. Hey, let me get a bottle. Matter of fact, bring you 2 bottles. You drink it, Brandon? And Brandon's saying, hey, as utopians, we shouldn't be drinking. That shouldn't be the image we're giving to people. Because I tell you, these guys are like local celebrities. Well, I won't even say local, world celebrities. You got people in here snapping pictures of them. Security's like, hey, back up. I don't know why they need security. These dudes have superpowers, but they're in there. And Brandon's like, I'm going to go ahead and go home because unlike you, some of us got training. We learn about the parents, all of their parents having to learn their powers and how to harness them and actually use them. Now, for these kids, they were all born with their powers because once your parents get the power, then you'll be born with it. And they're saying it's not our fault they had to go through and suffer everything to get their powers. Now, Brian is trying to tell Brandon, listen, everything that you missed out on as a kid because you're trying to be like your dad, you need to celebrate You earned it. And Brandon's like, well, you know what? You're right. So he takes a couple of drinks. Back to 1929, we get to meet George. Now, George is the friend of the family. Him and Sheldon are real close. They're talking and he's like, yeah, man, I was over in Europe on a yacht and stuff, doing balling things. And then all of a sudden you see people running around. They're like, what's going on? What's going on? They said, if you got any money in the bank, take it out. The market is crashing. This is Black Monday of 1929. So at this point, what are we going to do now? Because these gentlemen, they're all rich, but that stock market is how they're rich. Not liquid cash, the stock market. So if you have any money, go take it out the bank right now. They get back to the offices. You got Walt in here because Walt is the money man. You got all the lawyers and all the businessmen. And they're like, how bad is it? And Walt said, man, how bad does it look? We ain't never got 50 people in here working. Look at this. The market is crashing. It's down 20% and it's just sliding 3%, another 3%. And Walt's like, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I was talking about. You wanted to expand. I told us to wait. I had the numbers. So Walt was right the whole time. It's hectic downstairs. It's just out of control. I'm not even going to lie to you. Even I left. I was in the steel mill working. I said, I'm done with this. But we see Sheldon goes up to the roof of the building and he's talking to his dad. Now, his dad's overlooking the city and he's saying, oh, I gave them their first loan, man. I built their first building. All these buildings have my steel in here. Now, Sheldon's trying to convince his dad, hey, Dad, we need to go downstairs and figure out what's going on to adjust to the market. And the dad says, yeah, about that. I'm going to be down there in a minute. Just give me a second. Because he's thinking. And a lot of people, when all your money's in the stock market and it's starting to crash, it gets ugly for you. Sheldon turns around to walk off because his dad told him, all right, I'll be down in a minute. But when he looks, his dad jumps off the building roof and commits suicide. Now, that can only mean one thing. A, he lost all his money in the stock market. B, he didn't have no money. Or C, he screwed somebody over. And this is where people are going to come collect for their money. So he had to get rid of himself. They went on that ride. Now they're back at the Union of Justice. This is where all the superheroes will come together. And when they get there, they start talking about George, who we just seen in 1929, and how he turned on them. His name is Sky Fox, a superhero. And we know that this is Sheldon's friend. Sheldon's saying, man, he's a good guy. It's just something went wrong. But Walt's trying to tell him he wasn't a good guy. He was a terrorist. He took the vice president hostage. And it's been years since they've been all together, all these superheroes to actually take over the world. Well, not take over, but protect the world. The two brothers, they sit down and they just start talking about past events and what's going on now. Walt's saying, man, when World War II happened, he wished he would have done more, meaning use their powers to actually stop the war. Also with Vietnam, the Korean War, the Middle East. But there's a code. And what this code is, they use their superpowers to protect, not to kill anybody. But Walt's saying, listen, this free will that we have is actually bringing the world down. We need to actually stop the corporations, the crooked ones that are doing everything. So this show is tying in superheroes projecting themselves out on what's really going on today. And Sheldon, he's like, we can't use our powers for that. We need to be out here just protecting people. And Walt's saying, hey, we might need to change that up because things is getting worse. We could have stopped that World War II way before it went to what it went to. It turns out Black Star is loose and he's over there fighting Sheldon. And I'm talking about he's whooping on Sheldon. Blah, 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 blah. Now this girl, she's like, how did Black Star get out? And the guy with the flaming hands like, man, I don't know. So she said, why aren't you helping? He said, man, all I got is flaming hands. I'm going to wait till they do their thing. And then I'm going to go over there, give me 1 or 2 punches in. And I'm going to take me a picture and get some credit for it. Because I mean, at the end of the day, what are flaming hands going to do to anything? As soon as we start speaking, we just see something flying through the air. And it's like, man, what the hell? Hits the ground. Guess who it is? Sheldon. He's getting whooped on. Lady Liberty shows up, which is Mrs. Sampson Grace. So she's pretty much the female equivalent to Sheldon. Now, Sheldon got the electric eyes. He's shooting it, but Black Star ain't having it. We got us a battle on our hand. Now, the rest of the Utopians, they showing up. We got Brandon in the front. We got Uncle Walt. Now, Uncle Walt, he's the smart one. We know he's going to think things through. Now, Brandon gets there. He's going for Dad. And Walt's like, no, stick to the plan. Don't use your emotions. Stick to the plan. We got something in order. Let's do this. Walt's power is some mind control. So he's over here trying to hold Black Star in place so they can whoop on him. Yeah. And I'm talking about this is one of the most useless powers in my opinion because, hey, while you doing that, focusing on him, if there was somebody else, Hit you right in the back of the head, Walt. But he's holding them, and now the crew, they jumping on Black Star. This young lady right here, she can disappear. So she's running up there, she disappearing, bink, hit Black Star, disappear, bink, hit Black Star, disappear, blink. Nope, not this time. Black Star grabs her by the head and he's holding her. Oh, and it's looking ugly for her. Unfortunately for this young lady, he charges up and he shoots the cannon out of his chest, knocks her whole body off. The laser goes through her body. He's holding her head and it just shoots through the other dude too. I'm like, dang, Black Star, man, this dude is on a rampage. He killed 2 people with 1 laser, people. 1 laser, 2 people. Listen to me. This is never a good sight. We got Sheldon on the ground just catching the beating. Black Star is giving him the business. He didn't went through the whole crew. Brandon over here, dad. And I'm talking about he's letting off on Sheldon's head like bink, bink, bink. But Uncle Walt is trying to get in his mind, trying to control him, trying to take Black Star out of the moment. And he does exactly that. So at this moment, he's in the air, he's holding, he's focusing, trying to get Black Star out of his, out of his mind. So he thinks he's somewhere else. This is what's going to give the Utopians a chance to actually whoop on him because he can't fight right now. His body is physically still there, but his mental is somewhere else on the beach. But Black Star ain't having this. No matter how much control Walt has, he somehow comes through it and he starts to charge up and he knocks everybody off him while they jumping him. Man, this Black Star, he ain't no joke. Brandon sees his dad over there and all he can think back about is his dad saying he's not ready. He's not even close to prepared for this. So he jumps up in the air, he charges up. Boom, he comes and hits Black Star and I'm talking about knocks the whole side of his head off, goes clean through. Brandon is becoming a man. But if you remember the code, he did save his dad's life. But Sheldon gets up. What is wrong with you? You know the code. We don't use our power to kill anybody. You could have knocked him into a different universe, knocked him into space. But we don't kill anybody with our powers. That's not what we do. That is not the code. But Brandon's like, I saved your life. What else was I supposed to do? Let you die? I saved your life. Here's a little twist. They take Black Star's body, but it turns out this isn't the real Black Star. The real Black Star is still in jail and he comes out with handcuffs on. Like, what is this? And they say, we thought it was you. He's like, nah, this isn't me. I would have beat all y'all easily. And Brandon's like, oh, no, you wouldn't have. And Black Star's like, yeah, I definitely would have. But he's saying, wait a minute. Your son Brandon killed somebody. The code is we're not allowed to kill somebody. You can send them to a different world. But why doesn't the rules apply when it's your son? Only when it's one of us, one of the villains? And Sheldon's like, man, I told him he wasn't supposed to kill him. But at the same time, it's your son. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. All right, there you go. Episode 1 of Jupiter's Legacy. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think the real Black Star would have got on the Utopians like that? Because this one, this clone or whatever he was winning. They just had to jump him. I don't like all the jumping. But let me know what y'all think below. I'm Mo.J. Thanks for watching. If you like the content on the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We're on that road to 6,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.